A baby born in deep poverty, raised in silence and hunger, steps onto America's biggest stage and sings a legendary Scorpions song with a voice no one believes could exist. Judges smile at first, then freeze. Seconds later, Simon Cowell is wiping tears from his eyes. If you believe miracles can happen anywhere in the world, subscribe now, because stories like this change hearts forever. No one in the Dolby Theater that night expected anything extraordinary when the announcer called out the next act. The name sounded small, almost lost in the echo of applause, and when the curtain opened, a tiny Filipino baby walked onto the America's Got Talent stage holding the hand of his exhausted-looking mother. The crowd reacted with confused laughter, not out of cruelty, but disbelief. A baby. On AGT. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, eyebrows raised, already preparing for what he assumed would be a novelty act that would last a few seconds before a polite rejection. The judges had seen thousands of performers with big dreams, but this was different. This child looked too young, too fragile, too out of place on a stage built for legends. The mother introduced herself in a soft, shaking voice. She explained that her son's name was Mateo. He was born in a small coastal village in the Philippines, a place where electricity came and went, where storms destroyed homes overnight, and where music was often the only escape from hunger. She spoke of nights when she sang to him by candlelight because there was nothing else she could give. No toys, no books, no certainty of tomorrow. Just songs. The audience grew quiet, sensing there was more to this story than they had first assumed. Simon asked gently, almost skeptically, what song Mateo would be singing. When the mother answered, there was a ripple of surprise across the theater. Scorpions. A legendary rock band. A song known for its emotion, its power, its difficulty. Simon laughed softly and shook his head. He wasn't mocking them, he was genuinely stunned. How could a baby possibly sing a song like that? The audience murmured, some smiling, some whispering that this would be over quickly. Then the music began. At first, there was only silence. Mateo stood still, his small hands gripping the microphone stand. The lights dimmed, and the opening notes floated through the theater. The crowd waited. A second passed, then another. And then Mateo opened his mouth. What came out was not the sound of a child struggling to imitate adults. It was something raw, haunting, and impossibly mature. The tone carried pain, longing, and a strange, beautiful control that didn't seem possible for someone so young. The laughter disappeared instantly. People leaned forward in their seats. Simon's smile faded, replaced by an expression of pure shock. One of the judges whispered, "Oh my God," without realizing their microphone was on. As Mateo sang the first lines, something shifted in the room. His voice wasn't loud, but it was powerful in a way that reached deep into the chest. It carried the weight of someone who had known struggle, even if he couldn't put it into words. His mother stood behind the curtain, hands covering her mouth, tears already streaming down her face. She had heard him sing before, of course, but never like this. Never with an orchestra. Never with thousands of people listening. Never with the world watching. Halfway through the song, the first twist came. Mateo suddenly stopped singing. The music continued for a second before cutting out. The audience gasped. Simon leaned forward, concern written all over his face. Had the pressure become too much? Had the moment broken him? The theater was silent except for the faint sound of Mateo's breathing. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, Mateo spoke into the microphone. He said he wanted to sing this song for his father, who had passed away after working overseas to support their family. He said his father used to play this song on an old radio and tell him that one day, his voice could travel farther than any ocean. The silence that followed was heavier than any applause. People weren't just watching a performance anymore. They were witnessing a memory, a promise, a goodbye. The music started again, softer this time, and Mateo resumed singing. But now, something had changed. His voice carried even more emotion, as if that pause had unlocked something deeper. Tears rolled down cheeks all across the theater. One judge openly cried, no longer trying to hide it. Simon Cowell, known for his tough critiques and sharp tongue, pressed his lips together, his eyes glossy. This was not what he had signed up for when he sat down that day. As the song built toward its climax, Mateo's voice rose with it, filling the theater in a way that felt almost unreal. The audience began to stand, one by one, not because the song was over, but because they couldn't stay seated. It felt wrong to sit while something this powerful was happening. When the final note rang out, it lingered in the air, trembling, before fading into silence. For a moment, no one moved. No one clapped. No one spoke. Then the entire theater erupted. The applause was deafening, mixed with cheers, sobs, and standing ovations. The judges stood as well, all four of them, clapping above their heads. Mateo looked confused, almost frightened by the noise, until his mother rushed onto the stage and knelt beside him, hugging him tightly. Simon was the first to speak, and when he did, his voice cracked. He said he had been doing this show for many years and thought he had seen everything. He admitted that when Mateo walked onto the stage, he expected a joke. Instead, he said, he had just witnessed one of the most emotional performances of his life. He said it wasn't about age, or technique, or genre. It was about truth. And Mateo had delivered truth in its purest form. Another judge revealed a second twist. They explained that the song choice wasn't just brave, it was nearly impossible. Even trained adult singers struggle with its range and emotional demands. Yet somehow, Mateo had not only sung it, but owned it. The judge said it felt like the song had been waiting for his voice. Then came the moment no one could have predicted. Simon reached for the golden buzzer. The crowd screamed, already sensing what was about to happen. He paused, looking at Mateo, then at his mother, then at the audience. He said that sometimes, life puts a voice in the most unexpected place to remind us why music matters. And then he pressed it. Gold confetti exploded from the ceiling, raining down like a dream. Mateo looked up, eyes wide, trying to catch the falling pieces. His mother collapsed to the floor, overwhelmed, sobbing with joy. The audience roared louder than ever before. It was not just a celebration of talent, but of hope. Backstage interviews later revealed more layers to the story. Mateo had never had formal training. He had learned by listening, by feeling, by surviving. Music was not a hobby for him, it was a lifeline. His mother shared that there were days when they had no food, but Mateo would sing anyway, believing that one day his voice would change their lives. When the episode aired, the reaction was immediate and massive. Millions of viewers watched the clip within hours. Comments poured in from around the world. People said they cried. People said they hugged their children tighter. People said they remembered why they fell in love with music in the first place. Scorpions themselves shared the video, calling it one of the most moving interpretations of their song they had ever heard. In the weeks that followed, Mateo became a symbol, not just of talent, but of resilience, of how greatness can rise from the smallest places, of how a baby from a forgotten village could stand on the world's biggest stage and remind everyone that emotion has no age and dreams have no borders. And as Mateo returned to the AGT stage for the finals, no one laughed anymore. No one doubted. They listened, they felt, and they believed.